Good.
Good evening. Good evening, Dr. Davis. Good evening to the District 162 Board, fellow administrators, as well as our parents and families of District 162. I'm Mrs. Hatsona, the proud principal of Indiana School.
And I am Assistant Principal Christina King, proud as well.
This evening, we'd like to share with you how small steps at Indiana School can lead to big achievements. Dr. Davis asked us to answer 4 questions tonight. Those 4 questions: what do we want our students to learn? How will we know if each student learned it? How will we respond when some students don't learn it? And how can we extend or enrich the learning for our students who have demonstrated proficiency? So the first question is, what do we want our students to learn? Mr. Wright, thank you. The first thing we want to do at Indiana School is look at the basic foundational skills that our students walk in the doors with. So across the 4th, 5th, and 6th grades, we want to make sure that we review these basic skills. From using 4 operations, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division, with whole numbers to solve problems, generalizing place value, understanding for multi-digit whole numbers, using that place value knowledge to understand the properties of operations to perform multi-digit arithmetic. We want our 5th graders to understand place value when they come in. We want them to be able to perform those operations with multi-digit whole numbers and with decimals to at least the 100th place. We want them to be able to use equivalent fractions as a strategy to add and subtract fractions. And we want to keep in mind that these are the basic skills that our students actually should have as they enter Indiana School. We recognize that there are times when our students do not come in, Dr. Davis, with those basic skills, which is why we will spend at least the first week, possibly 2, reviewing and assessing these skills. We want to make sure our 6th graders understand ratio concepts and use ratio reasoning to solve problems. In our pacing guides, we always make sure that our 6th graders begin with ratio. We want them to be able to apply and extend previous understanding of multiplication and division to divide fractions by fractions. And as you can see, as they go up the grade levels, those skills build upon one another. We want them also to be able to apply and extend their understanding of numbers in order to understand rational numbers as well. Throughout the entire 24-25 school year, there are specific standards that we will focus on at Indiana School. This is in addition to those focus standards. Those basic skills. These are based on the IAR evidence statements. So the evidence statements show us how our students performed on specific standards in relation to the state as well as the district. Please note that the skills and standards that we suggest are not an exhaustive list. These are simply the skills that we are going to be focusing on throughout the year as a result of the IAR assessment. So as a building, we note that our students need improvement in modeling and reasoning from a math perspective. We certainly need to improve in the areas of geometry as well as problem solving, number and operations of fractions, measurement and data, operations and algebraic thinking, number and operations in fractions, and numbers and operations in base 10. And that is our 3rd and 4th, our rising 4th graders that will be coming in to us, hopefully, in a couple of days. In terms of our ELA instruction, we certainly want to focus on specific skills as well. We're looking at how 2 or more main ideas of a text, how they are supported by key ideas, key supporting details. What was interesting, Dr. Davis, as we looked at our evidence statements, we recognized that this particular standard runs across third, fourth, fifth, and sixth grades in terms of a lower level of proficiency. So we will be hitting main idea extremely hard at the Indiana. We also look at vocabulary. Just like my colleagues, vocabulary, word knowledge, word use is an issue. Spelling test. We will not focus on spelling tests at the Indiana, Dr. Davis. The reason for that is it is not research-based in terms of vocabulary acquisition. We want to make sure that our students are learning new words and developing a robust vocabulary. Spelling tests, we have found, only give students an opportunity to learn those words for a segmented amount of time. And when you ask students about those words, subsequently, they may or may not even know what those words are. So our focus will not be on the spelling of the words more than the actual vocabulary, usage, knowledge, the etymology of the words, word parts, base, prefix, suffix, and overall word study. We'll also be focusing on comparing and contrasting basic text structures. We have found that our students at the base level certainly can understand certain text structures. However, when we get into more depth and rigor and more complex text, we recognize that our students sometimes struggle with the analysis of cause and effect. They struggle with the analysis of comparing and contrasting and why the author may have chosen that particular structure. So we want to make sure our students are able to provide a comparison and contrast of overall structure, be it chronology, comparison, cause and effect, problem solution of events, ideas, concepts, or information in two or more text. We want to make sure that we are presenting our students with paired text, be it informational or literary. We want to make sure that they understand how to look at two or more texts subsequently and analyze those texts. Again, these are basic standards, focus standards that we noted, Dr. Davis, were across the grade levels. So as a building, these will be focus standards for the Indiana students. Keeping in mind, again, this is simply a sample. This is by no means an exhaustive list of what we want our students to learn. The next question is, how are we going to know that our students have learned it? Mrs. King.
Thank you, Principal Hasona. Good evening, everyone. How will students be assessed? Principal Hasona said it. Within the first 2 weeks of school, the Indiana students will take baseline assessments in reading and in math. This will give the teachers a threshold on driving instruction from day one in the classroom. The Indiana students will be assessed utilizing types 1 through 3 assessments. This includes IAR, our Illinois Assessment of Readiness, STAR 360, which is our district benchmark assessment, which is given 4 times a year, and type 3 formative, summative classroom assessments, including classwork and homework, which includes exit slips as well. A question was raised, how will we respond? Indiana will use a 360 wraparound support of academic personalism. After the students have been assessed, the Indiana administrative team will make data-informed decisions by incorporating 5 core principles of multi-tiered system of support, which is known as MTSS. They will include equity and inclusion, data evaluation, collaboration, family engagement, and leadership. These are the 5 pillars of MTSS that will help us offer academic personalism to each Indiana student. Each student, ladies and gentlemen, will walk away with a prescriptive measure, a detailed plan for their academic success. The academic and behavior thresholds will include, to support our students academically and behaviorally, ICE time, which is intervention centralized time for everyone. Our ICE time is our school-wide intervention, where all students at a certain time of the day are moving and they have a design class specifically for them where they can be successful and we can tackle those skills where those gaps and deficits are. Common questions that are asked during ICE time, we gathered those questions from our IAR digital library. So all teachers are asking the same questions and we're all on one accord. Also, during this time, it will be differentiated instruction, coupled with Kagan cooperative learning structures. And within this, we will also use restorative practices, utilizing the 5 CASEL standards of social emotional learning. This includes self-awareness. When you teach students how to become self-aware, they're able to make better decisions, and they're also able to regulate their emotions. And then with that, they're able to take what they've learned and build relationship skills with other students. Indiana pride ourselves in our 7-week program that's called SEL Camp. The 7-week program teaches students how to utilize standards, the 5 standards of CASEL, and apply them to everyday life as they navigate through Indiana school and beyond. We want to teach social emotional sustainability. That is very important as students matriculate through grade school. We also pride ourselves on our Paw Patrol committee. These are students that demonstrate leadership qualities academically and behaviorally, and they support us in morning greeting, hallway monitoring, and other plethora of responsibilities throughout Indiana school. Indiana parents, board members, and everyone in the room, we are looking forward to wrapping our hearts and minds around each student by offering a 360 academic and behavioral personalism support. Thank you, Ms. Sasona.
Thank you, Ms. King. So our last question is, what about enrichment? How will we enhance or enrich our students' learning? We'll do that through differentiated instruction, game-based learning, academic peer-to-peer mentoring utilizing Kagan cooperative structures, and prescribed enrichment activities that are suggested in our district curriculum. Finally, we have our school-based after-school enrichment programs, which include but are not limited to our choir, our band, book club, art club, drama, our STEM enrichment program, and all of these programs, for all of them, there is a GPA and behavioral expectation that must be adhered to in order to participate. So we at Indiana School are going to ensure that your students are learning and meeting our goals. Another layer of accountability at Indiana will be that mine and Ms. King's schedules are designed so that we can visit and observe our teachers regularly during instruction. We'll be observing them for instructional strategies, pedagogy, and cultural responsiveness, as well as noting how our students respond to the instruction. One thing that we have learned as administrators is noting how students react and respond to their teacher's instruction is a huge indicator as to whether or not the child is absorbing and learning the information. This also provides us an opportunity for real-time coaching as well as continued professional development. So parents, we are looking forward to you joining us as well, coming into the Indiana to help us as we grow our Wildcats. One other program that we are very proud of at the Indiana, Dr. Davis, is our Silver Cats. Our Silver Cats are actually retired teachers who come in at least once a week. We ask for 1 hour of their time so that they can help us as we move towards excellence.
Mrs. Hatsana?
Yes.
Everyone is using the initials MTSS for the benefit of our parents that are on the link with us. What do the initials stand for so that they can focus on that?
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Those are multi-tiered systems of support. We want to make sure our parents understand that our support is layered, which is why we discussed the whole child. It is a wraparound service, not just from an academic lens, but certainly from a social, emotional, learning, and behavioral lens. So that is exactly what that means. Thank you, Dr. Davis.
Thank you both. We're running a little late, and I'm looking at
Thank you.
President Bean. We're going to make it, Mr. Bean.